Alright, I just want to make a quick video about all the properties that I saw here. I made a mile radius, a 5-mile radius from the subject property over at 4332. What I did was I just asked for 180 days of closed properties. And I'm only looking at the manufactured homes, manufactured double wide, single wide, triple wide, and modular homes. These are the results I get. Let's look at it in single line. I'm going to sort these by price, which they already are. We're going to go at the very first one. This is 5 miles radius from our subject property. This property was listed at $49,900. It closed at $42,000. We're going to scroll down here and we're going to look at what we call the real AVM. This is coming from the public website and it gives a value of the properties here. This real AVM on this property says it's $63,239. We can see that the property here closed above the real AVM of this closed price. This is the lowest priced property that closed in this list, so we'll move on. Here's the next one. It closed at $61,000. This property was within 5 miles of our subject property. Let's look at the real AVM of this property. The real AVM is $60,000. $60,500. This is why I use the real AVM as such a good tool to come up with value of price. This property closed at $61,000. Real AVM was $60,000. That's pretty darn close. Let's look at the next property. Here we go. This one closed at $64,050. Let's find out what the real AVM of this property is. The real AVM is $64,000. Next property. This one closed at $72,000. The real AVM of this property is $78,000. This property closed below the real AVM of $78,000. This property here is $73,000. It closed at, listed at $75,000. Let's find out what the real AVM is. $66,000. This property closed above the real AVM. It's actually looking pretty nice. Let's take a look. Kitchen's looking nice. Stainless steel appliances, possibly slightly nicer than our subject property. But our subject property is in pretty good shape also, so, not bad. This one did close just above the real AVM. Let's look at the next one here. This one's $76,000. It closed at. It was listed at $79,000. The real AVM on this property is listed at $71,000. Closed above the real AVM here. Again, this property looking in pretty good shape. Nice screened-in porch, carport. I just want to show you what's going on so you can start to see a history, a pattern, what's going on. This property was listed at $100,000. It closed at $82,000. Let's see what the real AVM is. $76,000. This property closed slightly above the real AVM, but not at $100,000. The high of the real AVM for this property was $85,000. This property closed below the high of the real AVM. In this instance, no property we've looked at in this county has closed above the high of the real AVM. Just for context. This property closed at $83,000. Let's take a look at what this one closed at. Here's the real AVM for this property. It didn't come in. There was an error. So we'll go to the next property, $87,500. This property closed at $87,500, and the real AVM is going to be about $86,900. It's pretty close. Next one here, this was listed at $99,000 and it closed at $99,000. Let's find out what the real AVM for this property is. I'm pretty curious. This is a multi-property, multi-piece of land, so that's why the real AVM is ridiculously high here. I don't think it's that much, but this number did get skewed here. I certainly wouldn't look at that as any kind of data. All right, this one listed at $99 and it closed above the listing price. Let's check out what the real AVM is. Real AVM is $111. The high was $125. This property closed just under the real AVM at 108, but certainly above the list price because buyers are aware of the public data that's out there. Here we go. This one listed at 109, closed at 113. Let's take a look at this real AVM that I keep talking about. 111. Closed at 113, slightly above this real AVM right here. This is why I use the real AVM, again, as a good marker. It's not a 100% wherewithal, be withal, but this is a very good idea of what's going to happen. This property was 113 here. Real AVM of 114. Okay. And then we have this last one, not the last one, 121. Let's see what the real AVM of this property is. And again, I like to do this in the lowest to the highest, so that way we see that the real AVM, it moves with the price. So here's 122 as the real AVM. This property closed at 121. So there's no way we can say this is only good for low price properties or only good for high price properties. The real AVM uses a lot of different data points to come up with this number. And I found it to be pretty accurate, 145. And again, it's not all 100% accurate, but it is pretty close to what's going on. If we've looked at all of these properties, and this real AVM here was, whoops, I pressed too many buttons here. Alright, so this property is sold. It didn't have a real AVM coming on it, so we just wouldn't look at it. It wouldn't be a great property to come up with. But your property did have a real AVM on it, so certainly we're going to look at it. This property here has listed for 169, closed at 145, and then let's take a look at what the real AVM on this one is. It doesn't have the real AVM for this one because, again, this property, it couldn't come up with the actual price. It couldn't come up with the data. There wasn't enough information, so we're not going to look at that. Let's look at this next one, 157.5. This is for almost like a lot here. And again, the real AVM 170. This property closed a little below that real AVM for a nice waterfront lot. Here we go. This property was listed at 235, sold at 230. Let's take a look at what the real AVM was on this property. I'm pretty curious. 179. Wow. This is the first property in our county that sold way above the high of the real AVM. The high was 199. This thing sold for 230. This is a great property built in 2004. Let's take a look and see what was going on. It does have 13.5 acres. So I think it's possible that the 13.5 acres had something to do with what was going on, and it was really the land that was being valued, but the inside of the home looks great too. We're getting up here in the higher, these are just modular homes, certainly not that comparable, but again, I just want you guys to see real AVM, the closed price on this property was 270. Let's take a look at the real AVM. 280. So closed right under the real AVM here. And again, that's why when we come to value, we use the public data that's available for the properties that we see. When we see the property, let's see, let me pause this and find. All right, so I've got our property here. This is the one we're looking at, 4332 Anderson Mountain Road. List price $99.95. When we go to the real AVM of this property, the real AVM is down at 77,418. I just don't see how this property is so different and so much better than those other properties that it would be the only property to sell for $10,000 to $15,000 above this number. I just don't see that happening. And this is why we came up with this number. So certainly, I would love to see any other data that can support higher values. Thanks for watching. Let me know if you have any questions.